There we go. Good morning, morning, beautifuls. It's Tiana here. Like I did yesterday, today I also go live here on Facebook, and today I'm going to record episode 9 for the Mentoring for Awakening series that I usually do live on my Facebook channel, my YouTube channel. However, because I'm still having tech problems at my end, it's really difficult for me to upload to my YouTube channel, so I'm doing it here on Facebook to keep up the momentum, is the right word. Hang on, I'm not happy with what's happening here. Is that better? Sort of is, sort of not. So I'm sitting in my beautiful little courtyard again, as I did yesterday, and it's a very different day today. Today is raining. You might hear that in the background. Um, I actually think that it's really timely, this rain, just to wash away a little bit of this extraordinary tension that we've had in the air recently, certainly in my life over the last, say, few days. But anyway, let's stick with the intention, which is to today talk to you about this phenomena of letting go. One of the reasons why this is really important to understand is because people, in my experience, and certainly the videos that I've, seen and whatever, when change needs to happen, part of changing and shifting our reality is this process of letting go. People quite often offhandedly sort of say, "Oh, just let it go," but those three little words, "let it go," can actually create a whole heap of anxiety and depression, and there's a whole myriad of internal upheaval, if you will, around this idea of letting go. In my practice, in my counseling practice, my mentoring practice, I have had people ask me and respond kind of, you know, white knuckling. Well, what does that even mean when we are wounded, when we are trying to work through stuff? What the hell is this thing that we so easily identify of just, ugh, let it go? But if you were to then talk to people, and I'm sure that you know plenty of people that find themselves in the situation of feeling really anxious because they're not sure about how they're going to make money at the moment. For example, are they going to keep their jobs? Are they going to be able to pay their mortgages? Are they, if they are not feeling well and they walk down the street, there's a whole heap of anxiety for many people around, am I going to get sick? Just because I need to go and get toilet paper from the supermarket, for example, or something, right? Something along those lines. And then some smartass comes along and says, "Oh, just let it go, just deal with it and just let it go. Get over it." I know that if that was the case for me, as it has been in the past, I would probably want to punch them in the face. Not literally, figuratively. Um, And then there are people, in life that are going through relationship breakups, or even I know this was my experience as well when I miscarried and lost a child, quite a bit into the pregnancy, and then having people say, "Oh, just sort of let it go so that you can." heal without really explaining what they meant, or it can seem really insensitive. Anybody who's going through any kind of trauma or any kind of a challenge, being offhandedly guided with just let it go is probably not going to respond very well to that. So just let it go is not the language that we want to engage in, although there is deeper wisdom within those 3 words. So why is letting go potentially one of the most challenging experiences in life? So let me just run something past you. As when we're born into the world, we are sort of gifted or conditioned certain parameters of, I guess, social or familial, cultural, traditional expectations. So, for example, it could be, the story could be something along these lines. Certainly this applies for the Western world. This may not be true for everybody, but it's almost like an expectation. When you turn 6 or whatever, you start school, depending on which country you're in, 6 or 7, and then you go to primary school, then you go to high school, then you graduate, then you go to uni, then you get a job and you start saving, you meet the person of your dreams, or your life partner at some point in your 20s or whatever. Then you get together, you buy a house, you have some kids, then you retire, and then you get to enjoy your life because you've saved some money. I'm so generalizing here, so don't shoot me for it. But there is this narrative that we get conditioned to, that at certain parts of our lives, there are certain things that will occur, happen, and so there's, without even realizing, there's like an expectation. And so when things happen in life that are outside of those parameters, those conditions that we've been fed, or those expectations that we've been conditioned to, psychologically, emotionally, when we don't meet those parameters as per the conditioned response or steps in life, when, for example, I don't know whether I'll share with you an example. When I immigrated with my family to Australia when I was 17, when I was in my early 20s, I decided to study sales and marketing in order to shift my trajectory with regards to what I was learning. And as I was studying, I didn't finish my sales and marketing degree in my 20s because I found it just was so boring. Marketing back in the 90s was very different to the marketing ideas today. So I decided to leave. My father was so upset with me. He didn't talk to me for a really long time, and this created, of course, tension in the family, etc., because there was an expectation that I would meet certain criteria so that my financial situation, I could get a better job and my financial situation could improve. Anyway, there's more to the story, however. And so when I then exercised free will and chose to follow my own feelings as opposed to follow the expectations of, my family, this created friction. And so how to then heal this? How do we then, when this fracture occurs in relationships, in expectations, how do we heal these fractures? How do we let go enough of the friction on that timeline? Remember, yesterday we talked about timelines, an event. There was, an energetic charge created by this event. How how do we, what do we let go of? What is letting go altogether in order for us to be able to heal, neutralize and heal the relationship between us, neutralize the friction, yeah? So, I'm going to keep it pretty simple in order to clarify it for you. So I'm going to give you 5, what I believe are 5, maybe not only steps, but 5 key steps to consider in the process of letting go so you can make room for healing to occur. All right, so number 1 is that you need to acknowledge, face the reality that there is friction and there is some work that needs to be done, because you, as in the people, need to give yourself permission. You need to acknowledge and then give yourself permission to allow for a shift to occur. I'm going to say that again. You need to give yourself permission, give yourself the green light for the shift to occur. I'm going to tell you why. Do you know how often I've had people come to counseling or to mentoring saying they know that they have an intellectual knowing, a mind, an intellectual understanding that something's not right and they need to change something needs to shift, but they haven't given themselves permission inside their body for this shift to occur. So there's a whole heap of resistance to change. This is what I'm talking about. You literally need to give yourself permission for the change to occur. Green light. So I hope that that's clear. So first, you acknowledge it consciously. Secondly, you consciously give yourself permission. So my dad and I are having a problem right now. I acknowledge that there is a problem, as in I'm not going to avoid the fact that there is a problem. I'm not going to pretend that everything's okay and hunky-dory. I'm going to acknowledge that something has happened that's created friction between us, and then I'm going to give myself permission to deal with this and to make any all necessary changes in order to heal whatever's been triggered inside of me. Now, 2 things. Number 1, you don't need both people to be consciously aware in order for healing to happen. As in, I don't need to force my dad to do the work as well. The only person I have control over is me. This is why it's really important to understand that you are only giving permission for the shift to happen within you. Whether that energy shifting is going to influence, let's go back to the example, my father in a positive or negative way, or however, is entirely up to his soul journey. It's not up to me to force for him to see where I'm coming from. For him, at no time does he have to understand where I'm coming from. There's no guarantees. The only thing that I can do in that step one is acknowledge and give permission, give the green light to look at, to work with what I've got within myself. Okay? All right. Number 2. What are you actually letting go of? So if I use again the example of my dad, I wasn't letting go of my dad, my relationship with him. He's still my dad. Just because we had this one circumstance of friction, that doesn't mean that it stopped him being my dad. So I wasn't letting go of the person. I'm not letting go of the person. There may be situations where this is the case. However, letting go essentially, primarily, means that you are letting go of the energy charge on that timeline, meaning you are letting go of any negative thoughts, any negative emotions, and you are allowing that to come up and through your body so that it's not stuck inside of you, creating density, a blockage, disharmony in some way, yeah? And in the process of letting go of a negative thoughts, fears, emotions from those events, remember we had those questions that we went through yesterday? If you didn't watch it, go back and watch it so that you know what I'm talking about, yeah? As you're working through what and why on the timeline, you will begin to understand the narrative, the story attached to those circumstances, to that timeline. And so part of what gets to dissolve are any expectations, any belief systems or values that no longer serve your journey, any codependencies, negative, out of balance and harmony, codependencies and attachments. That's what you're letting go of. If part of that process, if you then arrive at a very clear, neutral observation that a person or a relationship has now dissolved in some way, lessons have been learned, well then you then take the next step and proceed with regards to letting a person go, a job go, a place go, a house go, whatever, yeah? But essentially your job is not to jump to conclusions with regards to, oh my God, I can't leave my job, what am I going to do? What you need to do first and foremost always is do that timeline charge word. Understand where the molecules of energy are vibing at and what is going on as a direct result of your thoughts, and so what you're thinking and what you're feeling, so that you can then work with your body to release, to neutralize, and then create from 0 point the reality that you actually want consciously. Okay. Number 3. I just kind of talked about number 3. What I wrote down was step number 3 is to then understand the steps to that 0 point, the void. So when you have no charge with regards to a timeline anymore, it's just like a picture memory, and you have learned or neutralized the lessons associated with an event, yeah, and you reach that 0 point, then healing can occur. So when negative thoughts, painful thoughts, anxiety, depression begins to dissolve, the particles are freed up to the particles of energy are freed up, as opposed to being chained to a, like an unconscious narrative monologue. He doesn't love me, I don't deserve it, I'm not good enough, I've disappointed my father, blah, 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 that inner da, blah, 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 yeah? So when that begins to dissolve, then you start to make a room for healing, for compassion, for forgiveness. And you don't have to white knuckle a situation and prove the other person wrong or right or whatever, which just keeps, which will and does keeps you stuck in friction and in like a negative state of disharmony. So that's number 3. As you slowly again work through things, and you make room, then healing can occur. So then number 4 is that you need to give yourself time to literally recalibrate within, as in a different energetic template within your body, mind, emotion, spirit. Give yourself time to recalibrate. Have a massage, drink lots of water, meditate, sleep, watch a good movie, read a good book, listen to some Led Zeppelin, I don't know, whatever, yeah? Recalibrate to your new reality, yeah? Because the new reality, so once you shift something at this core energetic molecule level, it not only shifts and recalibrates you within, it will give you a new set of energetic eyes to see through, to see your world through. It'll open up your third eye even more so that you can see with a new understanding, a new paradigm. It's really important. Give yourself a chance, time to do this, and then notice, make a note that, oh my God, there it is. I see that I've changed. I see this from a different perspective. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. I've done the work, and look at my level of perception. I can see with a whole new reality, yeah? This is really important to acknowledge, because the more consciously you work within yourself, the more consciously you will create your new reality. It's fascinating. All right. And number 5 is basically, then what now? Accept that you have a new perspective and a new reality in order to then move forward, and you can and give yourself permission to then be guided by that new reality, like I was just saying a moment ago. Really important. Again, here's what to just be mindful of and heartful of. this shift of reality within you is happening for you. This by no means will guarantee that the same thing will happen to the other party. Try and understand and stay away from expectations that just because you had this amazing experience that you can now acknowledge within yourself that the same thing is happening with the other person. Because, and I'm going to tell you this happens all the time, which is why I'm mentioning it to you, of course. Look, anything I tell you is through that filter of my own experience. So I understand, what it's like to just have this amazing experience and then want to share it with the world. And people are looking at you funny going, what the fuck are you talking about? You're so weird. What happened to you? It can be really challenging suddenly understanding that not everybody that you have in your world can meet you at the same level that you are at. And when I say level, I don't mean better, I just mean the same frequency level, the same, timeline, or the same perspective. This can be really challenging and can be really frustrating until we understand the point, like fully understand and practice that 0 point, which is the point of self-mastery, the point of purest being, just being, and observation. I'm usually pretty good at this now, but this is consciously practicing this for years for me, and I can still trip over something that is really clear and really simple to me because of my years of practice. And then observing someone who's not there yet, and then remembering that, oh yeah, I remember what it was like when I was there, before I had a different understanding, before I had a different integration and a recalibration within me, before I was seeing the world around me, my creation, through a different lens. So, please understand, going back to letting go, that when we talk about letting go, when you hear people say letting go, be very clear of what is it when you're working within yourself and within doing some shadow work, wounding, whatever it is, when you're trying to recalibrate or deal with a relationship or any problems in your world. What are you actually letting go of? And what you are letting go of, remember, is the energetic charge, the particles of energy that are on that timeline associated to an event, okay? As long as you remember that, that will hopefully dissolve or dismiss anxiety associated of having to let go of people, jobs, houses, homes, friendships, parents, and I mean the list just goes on, right? Okay. I'm going to finish here because I'm going to continue doing these weeklies. I've been doing them. We're on episode 10 next week, which is amazing. I have no idea what the theme is for next week. I usually do my writing and my channeling, my download with regards to the episode on like my weekend. So I'll write about episode 10 at some later point. I wonder actually if I've... Just bear with me for a second. No, I didn't write the theme down. Okay, never mind. So, okay. So I'm going to go. I'm just going to close this with saying that if you have any questions or you would like some support in terms of customizing the journey to you, and you want to book a mentoring or a counseling session, please send me a message or have a look at my website and we can arrange it from there. Thank you, my love, so much. Mwah. Love you heaps, and I will see you soon. Bye.